Being a huge fan of the survival horror genre, you'd think by now that I played all of the Silent Hill video games. The truth is, the only Silent Hill that I ever really played was Silent Hill 2, and that was about 15 years ago and only for a few hours. Given the rebirth of my Twitch channel and the general lean that I'm having towards survival horror, I decided to finally give the OG Silent Hill a spin. Developed and published by Konami and released on the Sony PlayStation Worldwide on February 23rd of 1999, Silent Hill is a single-player survival horror genre that takes place in the foggy town of Silent Hill. You take control of a rather normal man named Harry Mason. Along with his daughter Cheryl, they find themselves in an unfortunate car accident, and upon waking from the wreckage, Harry is unable to find Cheryl. Thus begins his personal quest to find his daughter. Along the way you encounter many different characters whose motives may not appear clear at the time. The town is spooky, it's snowing out of season, and it's sure to bring terror around every corner. Much like its survival horror brethren of the time, games such as Resident Evil, Silent Hill's gameplay primarily focuses on finding items, solving puzzles, and conserving ammunition while running away as much as possible. However, a gigantic leg up for Silent Hill compared to the other games is its melee combat, which I found to be extremely effective on my playthrough. With real-time 3D environments, darkness, and fog, it shrouds the game in its landscape/graphic and mystery. While partially this was likely to mask the limitations of the PlayStation 1's graphics, it actually lends itself perfectly to the mood of the game, especially given that the story itself is clouded in fog and oftentimes leaves you in the dark. The design of Harry, the NPCs, and the monsters are more than adequate and help make you feel claustrophobic and ready to run for your life. The soundtrack of Silent Hill is extremely interesting. Moody and atmospheric will be putting it lightly. In times of grave danger, many of the game's tracks up the horror movie-like aspect, leaving you in a panicked state. While I enjoyed the soundtrack, including the interesting indie-like introduction track, I found that listening to the soundtrack post-playthrough was actually more chilling than in-game. That is, however, not a potshot at the soundtrack, as it blends almost seamlessly with your gameplay. While I find the control scheme to be a bit more fluid than the tank controls of a series like Resident Evil, I did find myself frustrated at times, whether it be from my own fault, such as not realizing that I can move and shoot, or the fault of the game itself making it difficult to maneuver in some tougher 3D environments, aided negatively by some questionable camera angles and enemy placement. On the whole, Silent Hill is not that difficult. Many of the bosses were defeated in the first try on my playthrough, with only two exceptions. One being because of the aforementioned I didn't realize you could shoot while moving, which led to a couple deaths at a certain boss, and ammo conservation, thinking that a particular boss was a puzzle boss, leading to hesitation on my part. Also, other than a few cramped areas, many of the enemies were easily thwarted or run around, and in the event of damage absorbed, I felt that the game was more than generous with its healing item distribution on the normal difficulty setting. So, after all these years, what do I think of the first entry of the mammoth survival horror franchise Silent Hill? I think it's great. The story, the characters, and the dialogue do enough to grip your attention from start to finish. The combat and exploration was engaging enough, and the overall level design and open-ended nature of exploring Silent Hill lends itself to giving the game some good replay value. There are different paths to take, New Game Plus cycles, and a myriad of endings. For what it's worth, I got the worst possible ending. Go figure. I want to stress that Silent Hill, even being over 20 years old, does a great job of being truly creepy and giving you a general sense of dread. Silent Hill is a pioneer and a foundation of the survival horror genre. I give the original Silent Hill an 8 out of 10, and I am greatly looking forward to playing through all of its sequels. Until next time.